The Enerchain project. This is one of the most advanced blockchain projects in the blockchain and energy space, and this is our brainchild, and I'm now going to explain how it works. Enerchain is probably one of the most interesting projects in the blockchain and energy space in Europe. It started in early 2016, and the trigger was the Brooklyn microgrid actually, which was published and circulated in the press in March and April 2016, and it was the first decentralized energy trade worldwide. Yeah? In the case of the Brooklyn microgrid, it was a smart contract which supported prosumers and consumers to send ether, so to send a payment against the transfer of energy. However, it was not really the transfer of energy, it was just the booking of a kilowatt hour from a prosumer to a consumer, yeah, in the street in Brooklyn, somewhere at the other end of the world. And that somehow was a kind of a big bang for the whole blockchain world in the energy industry, because although it was maybe 90% marketing, but it showed that it works, and it showed where the direction goes. And that was also a trigger for us at PONTON to think about our role and our processes. Because we, as a B2B integration company for energy trading, with a focus on wholesale trading, we also see ourselves in an integrating role between the market participants. Yeah? We did that so far in the post-deal phase for projects and processes like confirmation matching and regulatory reporting. But why not applying this technology, which was quite new at that time, blockchain technology, at least quite new for the energy markets, why not apply that for the trading process itself, for the execution of trades? And well, that is how it all started. Actually, our activity started with writing a book chapter, which can be downloaded, by the way, from PONTON. There's a German and an English version of that. And the title is Potential of the Blockchain for Energy Trading. That was in May 2016, so quite some time ago already. And as a result, we decided to develop a prototype. And this prototype took about 4 months, such that later in the year, in November, we gave a public presentation of the first energy trade based on the blockchain for wholesale products. Yeah? There was a person from Belgium who is energy trader, who has a trading organization, another one from Amsterdam also with a trading organization, and they both did a blockchain-based decentralized trade for a day-ahead power delivery on my laptop. So not super distributed or decentralized. It was 2 nodes actually, but it was based on blockchain technology. So based on Tendermint actually, plus some additional layers that we developed ourselves. And that was so interesting for the sector that over time several market participants, rather large one, approached us and asked us if we could repeat something like that also as a prototype internally in their organization, integrating their gas desk with a power desk or their London desk with their whatever located desk, and to repeat that and to trial out how this really works. And after 3 of them approached us and we entered into discussions how to organize such a prototype development, we came to the conclusion that it makes sense to just go the next step, which is asking them to participate, asking all of them to participate, and to see how many are interested actually and how many would like to test the technology. And this is how it all started with the Enerchain proof of concept. It actually started with a workshop in February 2017 in Berlin. Of course, we organized that in Berlin because Berlin is the blockchain place. Yeah? What the square mile of finance in London is the square kilometer of blockchain in Berlin. So it was very obvious that we had to go to a startup-y co-working space to organize this first workshop. And we asked people from the sector in Europe to participate. We had over 50 with a front office background, back office background, legal people, IT people, many different backgrounds from many different countries. The question was, what is the most attractive process to them based on blockchain? And the most attractive was decentralized trading, definitely. This is why we started the Enerchain project as a proof of concept. And so a few months later, with 23 of them, we started it. And what does that mean? We did not reuse the prototype that we developed in 2016. We reconsidered again other technologies, blockchain technologies, if we should maybe shift using them. But for this specific process that we identified, decentralized trading, we found out there's always something missing with the existing technologies. Either they were too slow in terms of block time, or they didn't allow to encrypt a part of the data, only everything or nothing. And there was always a shortcoming with existing technologies. So what we did was we continued with a Tendermint technology for the consensus mechanism as a bottom layer, and developed a framework on top of that, which addresses all the requirements of a consortia blockchain. Yeah? This is a consortium, Enerchain. And if they deal with each other, they want to have authenticated communication, for example. They want to be transparent if there is a failure of a node and their client application has to switch to a new node. They just don't want to be aware of that at the application level. So these are all functions that were required on top of Tendermint and that we needed to build. And that actually ended up in the wormhole framework, which I also explain in a separate presentation. And so it started in May 2017. And then again, in October 17, also in Amsterdam, like the first demo presentation, we had another presentation, and that was the first really decentralized trade, not on my laptop. The nodes were scattered across a couple of clouds. They ran on the Microsoft cloud, on the Amazon cloud. They ran on PONTON machines and also on participant machines. And we were out as PONTON, as an operator, if you like. It was the market participants who were directly connected to the nodes. So there was a trade between E.ON on the one side and Enel from Rome on the other side. Both were connected to one of the nodes, and both directly did this trade with each other on the blockchain. We just monitored that. Yeah, we just watched what was going on. We couldn't even identify as a third party who these were. Yeah, we knew that it was E.ON and Enel, but when we looked at the order book, we only saw an order with an encrypted ID of the one who placed the order, and also the execution of this order was also using an encrypted ID of the counterparty. So that was quite exciting, and we also did further trades in public. There was also another one between Wien Energie and NEAS, and later on the eWorld conference in Essen at the beginning of 2018, we did further public trades, and also when the blockchain was running, the production chain, there were other pairs of counterparties who did live trades over the Enerchain blockchain. That is the status quo. The proof of concept ended actually in September 2018, and it was decided among the participants, who were 45 altogether, to continue this. But it would not really be a typical blockchain case if it all would be organized by PONTON. Yeah? It was us who came up with the idea. It was us who did the demo and the first prototype. It was us who organized the workshop and invited to participate in the proof of concept. It was all coordinated by us. But it was now the point of time to switch over to the consortium. Because if you use a distributed technology at the bottom, at the technical layer, it would not really make sense if this is operated by a single party. Yeah? So if there is a single party who offers you a blockchain service out of one hand, running all the nodes internally, maybe redundant, yeah, at different locations, but then organization-wise, this is not really conforming to the idea of blockchain. So it would be a blockchain case if the participants operate the nodes themselves, and if they are in the driver's seat, if they define the policies, if they define the rules for participating in the process, if they define the strategy, what are the next steps, where do they want to go. And so for PONTON, this means that we step back into the role of a service provider, and for the consortium it means that they need to work hard on defining exactly these governance elements, yeah? Like a decision-making process, rules, and onboarding policies, and also a financing schema and such things. So this is where the Enerchain project is in now, in this phase. It's in the hand of the industry. The idea is that the code and the IP of whatever is energy trading specific will be granted to the consortium. The consortium will be the exclusive owner of this part of the technology. And it will be the consortium who is then finally in the driver's seat, which means that there is a lot of things to be defined, a lot of contracts to be prepared, a lot of discussions to be led, a lot of planning to be done, also regarding the funding. And of course, this takes time. Yeah? We have a consortium here which is quite large. We have major players in the energy business, and it takes time. It takes a couple of months, if not even a year, until this is really set up. And this is the phase we are in now. We are looking forward for the final go live under the regime of the consortium, and that is the final step actually. So how does it work? We have the blockchain here, which is, as I described, Tendermint plus additional layers of own development from our side. There are market participants. Usually they are traders, so persons using a trading screen. The trading screen shows order books for the different products. There are a lot of different products depending on the region, depending on the period of delivery. That could be the next quarter hour. It could also be at the longer end the next year for a delivery of power and gas. But it's physical products. Yeah, it's always products which are physically delivered. It's not financial derivatives here. But it could also be algos or trading robots, yeah, just software who takes part in the trading. And by the way, in the future, we will see more and more of these. So in the future, we may have 3 of them, of the algos, and maybe just one human trader. And when they trade, they don't use a central order book, which is usually managed by a third party, a broker or an exchange. Instead, they use the blockchain nodes. Yeah? And as we've seen in another video, if this one here wants to sell power for the next day, for the next 24 hours of tomorrow, let's say 1 megawatt, he enters this data into his trading screen, into the order book, and says, submit, yeah, my sell order. And then this order is a data structure which is sent through the blockchain. After the consensus, when the block is built and shared with all the applications, this order goes to the different participants and pops up there in their application, in the order book. And then they see, oh, there is an offer, this is attractive, I would like to buy this megawatt hour for tomorrow. They click on that, or they logically click on that if they are just software, and send an execution statement, an execution message, which again goes through the blockchain and which materializes for everyone after the finalization of the next block. And when that has happened, everyone knows, okay, this order has been consumed. It disappears then from the order books and the transaction is executed. So that is the way how Enerchain works, and it is based on the wormhole framework. That is the motor, the technical layer of everything. And I'll quickly go through this now. There will be a separate video dedicated to wormholes. So this is a very quick one now. What we have developed here is a lower layer of the nodes, the blockchain nodes, which are based on Tendermint. whatever is missing with Tendermint but required for a consortia blockchain has been developed in these dark blue bubbles, which are co-located with the Tendermint nodes. So for example, caching the data, managing certificates, exchanging certificates, authenticating clients adapters who connect to the node adapters, and so on and so on, switching between node adapters. So that is a horizontal logic which is not really process specific. Yeah? This is all the blue part here. And this could be hosted by project participants. Yeah? And if it is hosted by project participants, it is important that whatever is routed through their nodes will not be, doesn't disclose any information to them, such that they would be put into a better position because they see data others could not see who don't host a node. So, but that is the node side part. And then per participant, we use a client adapter, and the client adapter represents the participant. It could be a large company like E.ON or Enel, or it could be a small one. It is just one client adapter per legal entity participating in the process. And also here, we use certain horizontal software functions. So for example, authenticating by applying a key pair, yeah, which is generated within the client adapter. And this is used to have a certificate being issued by a certification authority, and that is stored here. And by applying that, the client adapter can authenticate versus the node adapter. And then on top of all this, there is the application layer. And the applications on top, the vertical clients, are process-specific applications. So for example, the trading screen in case of Enerchain. So we have several trading screens up here, but we also see these red bubbles inside the client adapters and the node adapters. And that is what we call plugins. This is application-specific logic which is deployed into these different places. And the logic deployed into the node adapter here, for example, corresponds to the function of a smart contract, actually. Yeah? It sits on the nodes of the blockchain. It represents process-specific functionality, and it is applied whenever a process step is made. So for example, if an order is sent by this market participant into the blockchain, it goes through the node adapter. And since a Tendermint node doesn't know anything about energy trading, a Tendermint node is horizontal. It's just the consensus which is implemented there. But they don't know about gas and power. They don't know about an order value or whatever an order is. This is known by the plugin here. And whenever a validation step takes place, the Tendermint node asks the node adapter, hey, above there, can you please take this transaction and tell me if it is valid or not? And then the node adapter says, yes, I can tell you. I have to forward that to this plugin here because we have a energy trading transaction, and we have here an corresponding energy trading plugin. So I hand it over there, and the plugin then can validate that. The plugin is functional and knows what an order is and knows how to validate an order, and comes back then with a response, yes, this is fine. And then the node adapter responds back to the Tendermint node, everything good, this is valid. Yeah? So this is why we need this functional plugin on the node side. And we can also delegate certain vertical functions into the client adapter, which do not need to be implemented by the application itself. So this is a pattern which we developed based on several projects, not just Enerchain, but also New4Zero, which is a separate project, which has to do with flexibility trading in the electricity grids, and several other projects that we are doing, like ET-Block and others which don't even have to do with energy trading. Or Grid Chain is another one. They all use this framework. And at PONTON, we developed that framework over the past 2 years, and we are quite happy now that this is stable, it is performant, and that it's a good time in the next months to make this available also to interested parties who would like to develop similar processes or processes where exactly that is required. Fast blockchains with a block time down to 1 second. Easy to deploy this with a reduced number of nodes, and the possibility to deploy process-specific functions at the different layers of the blockchain. That's the wormhole framework. You can also find that and further information at PONTON on the wormhole wrmhl.ponton.de website. And anything, any updates, any new information will be published on that site. Yeah, and in the future, we also want to let processes coexist. It is usually the case that within the consortium, even if it is several processes, that they can be combined into one plugin. But it would be in the far future maybe even more useful if you participate in different processes which cover different sectors and different other business partners, that you can also deploy several plugins within the same nodes or node adapters and client adapters. Yeah, that is Enerchain in a brief, and there is also a website which is called enerchain.com. Any further development of the Enerchain project can also be found there.